Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Texas Road. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined this morning by Bobby Burton. We're always joined by Bobby, but Jerry is out today. But Bobby, we do have a couple of special guests that will be joining us later, including Bob Shipley, as he always does on Tuesdays. And then we're going to have former Longhorn Lamar Houston. So that should be a good one as well. But tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We'll get to all that. And Bobby, right before we came on, Sark went to the mic, spoke for quite a while, actually. And there's lots of clips I want to play, but I wanted to start with one where he was asked about the running back room. And he talked about that a little bit, but he also had a lot to say about agents this morning. So I will
let's play it.
I think it's all
play it.
strategic, right? Because it's one about need, it's two about money, and the cost, and where's the market, and which agent you're dealing with. There's some agents that are rational, and there's some that this is their first time ever being an agent. I don't even know if they're licensed to be agents, but all of a sudden they get to be agents, because we have no certification process in college football. Or in the NFL, you have to be certified. In college football, it might be their college roommate, their freshman year, who's their agent right now. And this guy's throwing numbers at you, and it's like, we can't even deal with this. Like, you just move on. And so it's unfortunate, and we'll get there in college football, but right now it's a tough situation. That being said, although there's so many factors that come into what you're trying to do, what are our needs, what are our luxuries, right? Those are two different things. And then trying to find the right mix and the right fit, because we can't lose sight of some of these kids that we signed out of high school either. Like, we got a pretty good running back coming in by the name of Derek Cooper that we're excited about as well. And so, again, we've got to have our list of needs, our list of wants, and our list of luxuries, and then what's the dollar sign next to all that, okay? And then what's the bottom dollar from an organizational standpoint. And the idea that I can sit up here in 2025 and talk about money and players and things is pretty crazy, right? From where we've gotten to where we were 4 or 5 years ago to where we are today. But that's the reality of the situation of college football right now, and that's where we are. Again, I think there's nothing wrong with that. We just got to tighten it up, and hopefully we can get there sooner rather than later. Because again, I'm probably going to be on the phone with an agent today that's going to throw a number at me that I'm going to be like, good luck. I hope you get it. If you don't, call us back, but I can't do that number.
Well,
So there you go.
I think the Texas head ball coach was fairly straightforward. Some things have happened in the last 3 weeks where I believe that Texas is clearly they lost a player last week in Trey Wisner that, in my opinion, the agent at some level, tried to overplay their hand with the player, and it's a sad situation because I think that Trey Wisner was a great Longhorn. And a young man that should be playing in this game tomorrow, frankly, and deserves to finish his career at Texas. I don't know what's going to happen with all of this stuff going on right now, but what we're seeing is some of these things that we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 years, 4 years even, that are bad elements or unfortunate elements of where we're at in college football. A lot of them have been, I don't know if swept under the rug is the right term for it, Blake, but what we've seen is we've seen it be minimized, at least at Texas, maybe not some other places, where it's just ugly. The underbelly is starting to surface. And that's what we see and hear from a coach like Steve Sarkisian today, when Texas, frankly, is, they have a quote-unquote salary cap like everybody else does. But as Sark went on to say later in that same press conference, he goes, everybody is supposed to have the same press conference, supposed to have the same salary cap, but of course we don't, because there's no rules essentially that people adhere to. And so look, I feel like this is all going to come to a head at some point, but it's unfortunate, in my opinion, that we're on the eve of the Citrus Bowl. And, I feel like what's happening right now is symptomatic of some things that have been going wrong with college football for a long period of time. And so long and short of it, we'll see what happens. But I went out to practice yesterday. We got to talk about practice. We got some other stuff, Sark, we want to talk about. Before we get to all that, we want to say thank you, as we do every Tuesday, to our friends at Texas Road, Rick Vavro and our friends there. They are your full service solution for major road projects in the state of Texas, with the full support of multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, and asphalt. Texas Road provides on-site concrete through volumetric trucks for smaller volumes. They're able to complete road building in a high-profile environment. That's texasroad.com. Our friend Rick Vavro and his team of engineers and work crews over at Texas Road. Check them out. Also, check out their sister company, Austin Underground, for all that underground work going on down in the city of Austin as well.
Okay, let's see here, Bobby. One other clip that I wanted to play before we get into what you saw at practice is Sark. Excuse me. Sark was talking about practice and how it's definitely changed with multiple players now out, and he said that it's allowed him to see the whole team all practice long. And I want to play that real quick.
As far as just invigorating as a coach, because this is really like a springboard for you.
I thought it's gone really well. We've had to adjust kind of our practice format because of the numbers being down. You just don't get to replenish the numbers when guys move on. And so, when you look at 20 or so odd guys that are not with us, that were with us, throughout the season, at the end of the regular season, we had to adjust how we practiced. And one thing that we've done is been a little bit more servicing of each other, from offense to defense, defense to offense, as opposed to scout team. And it's been great for me because it's allowed me to see the whole team all practice long, as opposed to being separate offense and defense and doing things simultaneously. So I really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed being around a lot of our younger players, and I think that they're excited to show what they can do. And you can feel the excitement for their team from their teammates, some of the older guys that maybe they came into school with, and now they're seeing some opportunities for them. And so it's been like I said, a different format of practice, but I think it has been re-energizing because so many guys are practicing right now with opportunities to play in the ball game. So
That's it.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. He went on to talk about even further, Blake, about whether or not they're going to get to 105 scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new rule. And he's talking about the lack of numbers. It's allowing him to see the whole team like he hasn't been before, because they separated into the first two strings and the third and fourth string, and they two-spot practice during the regular season. But, Sark made mention of, hey, I don't think it's realistic for us to get to 105. And I think that's correct. I think what we may see, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, Texas they can now go to 105 or whatever they need to do. I won't be so surprised if Texas and some other schools dip below that 85 line and go for more quality instead of quantity as they look to use revenue share. So people need to think about that as we're going through our mindset, and we haven't been doing that. I mean, people just saying, oh, you got 85 scholarships, use all 85, spend all your bullets, etc. Well, if you're Texas and in this day and age of rev share, maybe you don't do that. Maybe the better way is to have fewer players and you go for quality over quantity. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I think a couple of people have noticed me saying that over the last week here. And I think Sark basically reinforced a little bit of that from what I had been hearing behind the scenes onto the discussion today. Hey, for those of you just joining us, Sark and Biff Poggi were both at the podium this morning. We played a couple of those clips, or Blake did for folks. Jerry Hamilton is not with us this morning because he's at the Under Armour check-in, the All-American game check-in. He's going to have some news and notes from that. Blake, we have that list of guys that are supposed to be at the Under Armour game, I believe. If you could bring that up as well. I think Easton Royal, Nick Robertson are a few of those guys, Richard Wesley, Mikey Bukakis, and then there's a bunch of 2027 targets. For those unaware, about 2 years ago, Under Armour started making it not just the class of not the incoming class that were playing in the game, but the next class up. So a lot of the guys you see there on that 2027 target list, I mean, they're playing in a national All-American game a year ahead of what used to happen. Jaquan Snell's committed to Texas A&M. Texas still likes him. DJ Jacobs, the edge from Roswell, Georgia, last night committed to Ohio State. Texas still likes him. John Meredith, the corner out of Euless Trinity. Peyton Miller out of Anna. Brian Swanson out of South Oak Cliff. Tyson Robinson is a running back out of Mississippi. That Jabbar Jalouk, the new running back coach at Texas, is very high on. Just a number of players, but Jerry will have news and notes from that coming up later today as well.
All right, well, let's talk. You said practice earlier, so let's talk a little bit about that, what you've seen, what you've heard, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I went out to practice yesterday. There's a short media window. Let me get my words right here. A brief media viewing window
There you go.
that I was a part of yesterday. Me and a couple of guys went out there, Jerry and CJ among them. We got a chance to watch the team. You know, in these practices, and I've been to so many bowls throughout the year, bowl practices, et cetera. What I'm really looking for when I go out there, I'm looking for guys I haven't seen much of yet because they were underclassmen and didn't get much playing time. And I'm really trying to get a sense, Blake, of what the team vibe is. And, you know, anybody that's been a part of a bowl practice or watched it, there are certain vibes to it. It can look like they're going through drudgery. You know, it can look like they're totally down, or they can be hyped up. I mean, for the Rose Bowls that Texas went to, I felt like they were on it back in the day. Like you could just tell they were there's some mental focus, right? And then there's been ones I remember I went to a Cotton Bowl back when I was in school, and Texas got lambasted by Miami eventually in the Cotton Bowl, and I was there, and you could kind of tell they were. I don't know if distracted is the right word, but there were some guys that were just kind of happy to be there, not knowingly. Because it was just unfamiliar territory, and so I was looking for that yesterday. Like, what is is there a skip in their step, or are they just going through the motions right now? Yeah. And I really tried to think about it and watch their bodies and just what they're doing, and I couldn't really tell. I think the media window was just too short to make any kind of assertion one way or the other. But that as I think about this game tomorrow, I mean, so much of college football and bowl games, it's the want to be there factor, right? Especially when you're down 7 or 8 starters. I think it's 8 starters now that Texas is down, 2 on offense and 6 on defense. So much of this is, how bad do you want it? How hard are you going to play for it? What are you going to do for it? You know, how good are your backups that are now pushed into certain situations? And so that one aspect of it, I could not just immediately say, oh, they're really, on it right now. Practice with Chris this way or that way. It just wasn't long enough to get a flavor for that. Blake, in my opinion, Sark in his press conference today had something interesting to say about it as it relates to that. But he said, "Look, we're here to win." In the press conference today, we want to win this game. There's no two ways about it, no matter what anybody says. And so, at least from the head coach, I think you're hearing the right things. Let's see if these players follow that lead, and I think that's going to be up to them come tomorrow. I will even say this: some fans are like, I don't necessarily see this bowl game as a big thing. I don't think that's the way Sark sees it, or the actual staff themselves.
Hey, Bobby, I put that stat leader sheet up there, so I wanted to see who was opting out. Well, then I just came across this tweet, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here because I think this is pretty important, and I don't think anybody has talked about this. Biff said he was asked about having just 3 opt-outs, and he clarified Michigan has had some other players who have decided not to play this week based on injuries, and now he's saying their number is more like 12 to 15 that won't be playing.
Well, if you add Texas's opt-outs, you're closer to 25 to 30. All right, you're closer to 25. So, we'll see. That's all I'll say. He's played poker with this information, in my opinion, and he'll continue to do so. We'll see if any of their main guys truly stay out that aren't already staying out. Justice Marshall, one of those, the running back, right now, he literally it has been injured, but he's expected to try to play. Trey Wisner obviously out for the Longhorns. Look, D Moore, the edge, is not going to be playing for them. So I look at it, and I think it's nice that Biff says that. They're not getting lacerated like Texas from a starter's role. So he can, Texas had 12 guys enter the portal already. So that's not, and I'm not talking about starters there. I mean, you include, 2 starters in that, but 6 of them are going pro or what have you. So
could be worse. Could be Iowa State.
Oh my God. So this is what's, I apologize for jumping all over that before you even said it, Blake.
Good.
But I sent it around to our group yesterday, and I made a comment on it on Twitter. How many players are left on Iowa State's roster after Matt Campbell left to go to Penn State? I mean, I just want y'all to think about this, okay? How many players are actually left on their roster as of yesterday? You know what the answer is? 16.
With only 1 returning starter.
How'd you like to be Iowa State right now? That's what college football has wrought. And so when I say these things that have been the underbelly are starting to come to the surface, can you imagine being Iowa State today and you have 16 players on your roster? I don't even know if you're a coach, that's like, even in high school coaching, you go to a new job and at least you have some players left over. You have to start building a new, right? But I don't know, in the NFL, when you take a new job, you have players left over. Only in college football do you have to start from scratch. I mean, you might as well call these guys the Toledo Mudhawks and just create a semi-pro because they have no players left. I mean, it's insane. But again, it's of their own doing. But I wake up this morning and not that I've ever wanted to be a Cyclone in my life, but happy to be a Longhorn.
Yeah. Man, that's tough. That is tough.
You lose your all-time best coach in Matt Campbell. He's their best coach ever. And now you have 16 players left. And you can't hate the coach that left because he took you to unprecedented heights for your program, unprecedented stability. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I'd hate to be going into that job.
You could, I mean, not just him, not just the head coach, his entire staff.
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you do?
we're talking about, well, Texas really needs, a couple of running backs in this portal class now that 3 guys or 4 guys are transferring. Okay, how'd you like to need, 11 offensive linemen right now?
Yeah.
Or 10 defensive linemen? Or 7 defensive backs? Because that's what they're looking at right now. That was we digressed a little bit there. I do want to get back to practice because I did see more on that, Blake, and I know we got to get to some questions, and we're going to have a little bit more time for comments and questions today with just me here and you here and Jerry at the Under Armour game or Under Armour check-in. But I would say this as it relates to all of it that is concerning. I felt like Texas was even though they've had these opt-outs and the issues with the portal, etc., there was really only one position on the field where I went, ooh, that doesn't look right. Okay. And unfortunately, it's at linebacker. It did not look right. There was Anthony Smith out there, and there was Brad Smith out there, and then there was a true freshman, Bo Barnes. Jonathan Cunningham was there, but he's been playing more nickel. Safety Jordan Johnson-Rubel was running second team linebacker. Now, Jordan Johnson-Rubel is not a big guy. So of all these opt-outs and things that we've been talking about, how is this going to affect Texas in this game? I think they can withstand the loss of DeAndre Moore, for example. No. They can withstand the loss even of Michael Taft. Michael Taft was there, by the way. He wasn't practicing. He was just out there with the team. But if there is any position where I thought, wow, that doesn't look like a University of Texas roster at this point, it was linebacker. Now, granted, obviously, there's been some attrition there with Anthony Hill going to the pros, as well as Leonga Lafau. But it gave me a sense, or Trey Moore as well, it gave me a sense of just how thin that linebacker spot overall is. All other spots, though, offensive line, defensive line, even the edge room without Ethan Burke. Ethan Burke's such a good player, but Zena looks really, really good. Smith Orogbo looks totally different. Lance Jackson, they've got Colton Vosick came up and was talking to CJ a little bit yesterday. There's a group of guys, I think, but the only position that I think a normal football fan would go out and go, ooh, that doesn't look like University of Texas football team. And I'm not saying at the Windsor, it's just like, wow, Jordan Johnson-Rubel and Jonathan Cunningham are really being pushed to play linebacker right now. And they're just that was a little different, I would say. But everything else, I felt like Texas has really, really good talent level and even depth for this game.
Waves Deep says we have depth at edge, so he can see Simmons pitching in at linebacker for this game.
He actually was running with the linebackers a little bit yesterday, and I think it was more for the ball punch-out drills. And Colin does drop into coverage somewhat. And people are saying, well, Jelani can come up. Yeah, but he would come up as a nickel or as a safety, not as a linebacker. And that's, when you're going to have one of the things I've mentioned and talked with guys about, Michigan likes to play 3 tight ends, 13 personnel sometimes. Okay. That ain't good for your linebackers if you ain't got, you don't have enough linebackers. And so I would say that's, of all the things I'm looking where a team like Michigan might be able to exploit Texas, it would be at that spot. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not high on Bo Barnes and his ability long-term, or Anthony Smith, or even Brad Spence. It's just the numbers aren't there if they're going to have to sit there and, cover, a power run or an outside run 50 times tomorrow. That's going to be difficult. Jonah Williams is playing safety, so that's not happening either. They've not moved anybody other than Jordan Johnson-Rubel and Jonathan Cunningham at this point.
Okay, well, one of the other things that we need to discuss this morning is the portal. Lots of news going on there. Of course, you posted something. You posted an update yesterday afternoon over on ontexasfootball.com, which had quite a bit of information in it. But let's talk about the portal for a little bit. That's a hot topic in the chat. So, what do you have for folks there that are feeding for information?
There's a lot of stuff going on in the portal that people. I mean, we were over at the team hotel yesterday, Jerry and myself, and just bumming around, talking to people and et cetera. There is no doubt, and I'm talking about coaches, administrators. There's no doubt that the central focus right now is roster retention of existing players. So the portal isn't just a one-way street right now. There are still guys that could make additional decisions to leave the Longhorns post January 2nd or after this bowl game and enter the portal. So roster retention is a big piece of the puzzle right now. Additionally, it's incoming players to the portal. That is a big deal for the Longhorns. And so they are playing, obviously, getting ready for that to be what could be an onslaught. I'm here to tell you that I think it's going to be the biggest reshaping of college football from a portal perspective in a single season. Like, I don't know that it'll eclipse 4,000 players going in the portal or whatever the total was last year, 3,000. But the magnitude of the player, I think, will be eclipsed. Yesterday, Cam Coleman, the wide receiver out of Auburn, he'll likely be the number one overall receiver in the portal. He announced that he's going into the portal. Auburn thought they had him coming back. He pulled the rug out at the 11th hour and said no. And Texas A&M, Texas, LSU, other teams expected to be real players there for Cam Coleman. How much of a player? We'll see. I think that a lot of teams feel like they're ready to go to battle in this portal over certain players. I would say this: Texas is looking for a wide receiver in the portal that is a high-end guy, make a difference, score touchdown kind of guy. Does Cam Coleman fit that bill? Absolutely. Is it Cam Coleman necessarily that they're going to go to try to get at, or is it somebody that's not even in the portal yet? I think that's a fair question. And based on my sources, we'll have to see which direction the Longhorns even go there. Okay. The second piece of this is there are certain pieces, and Sark just talked about it today in his press conference. There are needs. Like, Texas has some real needs in the portal. They need a running back right now. They need some interior offensive linemen. They need some linebackers. And then there are wants. And then there's even a separate category that's called a luxury, in his opinion. Well, those luxuries are going to come with a price tag that are awfully expensive. We'll see if Texas can make those happen. And I think that Texas right now is in really good position. I haven't changed some people are like my update yesterday. People are like, well, that doesn't sound great. I have not changed my position. I think Texas and Sark, Brandon Harris, John Michael Jones, Chris Gilbert, all those guys in the back office have Texas situated really well behind the scenes in the portal. Now, does that mean it's going to domino exactly the way they planned? No. If it dominoes 75% of the way they planned, I think it's going to be a success. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and seeing this transpire behind the scenes. But people are looking for exact names, and all that does by me putting a name out there is drive up the price for that player, because people are going to use Texas as a stalking horse. It's happened multiple times in the past, and it'll happen again this year.
Okay. Yeah, lots of portal talk in the chat.
Yeah, feel free to put your questions. I'm happy to answer specific questions. But that's my overall discussion point, I guess.
Well, Bobby Brown wants to know, he says he's concerned, will there be enough quality offensive linemen in the portal?
I believe so. Yeah. So I think that there's going to be plenty of quality offensive linemen. There already are some there. Some of them have bowl games today, tomorrow. And I think that there are going to be plenty of good offensive linemen that are going to go in the portal. Offensive linemen right now are coming at a high value, I think, or at least a solid value. Interior offensive linemen tend to be a little less expensive, and you can get really good ones. So I think that Texas will be in good shape there, and I do believe they have some that they've identified and are hoping to pounce on.
And one other one I wanted to address, this kind of going back to NFL decisions. And Bobby, we reported about a week and a half ago about Hero Kanu most likely returning to school. But Derek says Hero said he's not made a decision yet. What gives?
Nothing. I mean, we've said he's expected to return, not that he's announced a decision yet. And so I think that the ones that have made public pronouncements, we've been really clear. They say they're going pro. With Hero Kanu, we still, even after that conversation yesterday, we still expect Hero Kanu to return.
There you go.
And so when will he make an announcement, or how will he make an announcement? I'm not sure. Could things change? They always could change, but even after that public pronouncement yesterday, they still thinking about it. We still believe that he is expected to return to the team this year, or for next year.
Well, we're going to take y'all's portal questions some more here in just a moment. But first, I need to tell everyone about Prize Picks this morning, because we make decisions daily. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And it's simple to play. You just pick more or less on player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. And it's the best way to get in on the sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, where Bobby, Jerry, and CJ are right now, Georgia, and of course, right here in the great state of Texas. And I'm waiting for the quarterfinals of the college football playoffs, so I locked in Bama quarterback Ty Simpson and Texas Tech quarterback Baron Morton to have at least a passing touchdown, along with Georgia running back Nate Frazier to have more than 66.5 rushing yards. They obviously have a lot more as well. They have NFL, NBA, NHL, whatever your thing may be. They even have esports. So go find you something. Make your own picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about South Point Dodge this morning.
Hey, Longhorn fans, the December wrap-up year sales event is ongoing right now. A couple of days left at South Point Dodge. If you've been thinking about upgrading your ride, now's the time. We're talking big price reductions on Ram 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s, plus Jeep Wranglers and Grand Cherokees. And here's the kicker. On Texas football listeners, get 90 days before your first payment, and South Point Dodge will ship your new ride anywhere you are. Over 600 vehicles in stock, ready to roll for tailgates or holiday road trips. Check out southpointdodge.com or swing by I-35 in South Austin. Get to the point, South Point Dodge. Again, there's nothing like Texas football, and there's nothing that runs like a Ram. southpointdodge.com. Come see them off of I-35 in South Austin. Get to the point at South Point Dodge. I want to say thank you to them for re-upping in their sponsorship for 2026 with On Texas Football. We appreciate them and the Sark family very, very much.
That's right. And we're going to let Vince and Colt tell y'all about Advanced Pain Care.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. And Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
Good stuff. Okay, we got super chats. We got portal questions. We got team questions. So let's just jump right into those. Going back to the clip that we opened the show with, Muschamp's corn dog handler. That's the name, all right. Says, I like that. Sark just said, don't call me and waste my time.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that what Sark was alluding to is some agents tell players what they think they're worth based on their data points. And their data points are make-believe in Sark's opinion. True or not. And when the conversation starts there, it leads to a sense of value that maybe the player has that is unrealistic in his opinion. And that leads to degraded conversations as the conversations go on. And so they're not allowed to have productive discussions when you start so far apart. And I think that's what he's talking about and alluding to with some agents.
And then Juan Garza, we appreciate you as always. He says, Bobby Burton, do you think, in your opinion, should Texas go after Cam Coleman? Of course, the wide receiver.
I definitely think they should test the waters, and I think they will. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking the phone call or making the phone call. The question then becomes, at what cost? And I'm not necessarily talking about Cam Coleman's individual cost as I am the opportunity cost of other positions and other players, because Cam Coleman would be considered a luxury. He's going to be a high-end financial commitment for whoever gets him. And so I think that Texas has to weigh that versus everything else they want and need and decide whether that luxury or other luxuries might take precedent. And I want to say this, there could still be guys go in the portal at wide receiver that are elite that may not or could cost as much or more than Cam Coleman. I don't know that that'll happen, but I want to put it out there. I don't think we've seen all of the guys on elite teams go into the portal that are going to go in the portal. There's still several that are playing in bowl games and then the college football playoffs. So we're going to have to watch that.
Then we have a pair of super chats from Jeff Carey. Thank you, Jeff, as always. First, Jeff says, congrats on 250,000 subs. Appreciate that. Appreciate all of you for subscribing. And if you haven't, now's a great time to hit that like and subscribe button. And then Jeff also says, where's a good fit for Drew Mestemaker and Caleb Hawkins? How much money do you think they'll get? Could we see Hawkins to Texas?
I think Mestemaker is going to make, and the quarterback market is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, just so everyone knows, the quarterback market is insane. And I'm talking, and ESPN wrote a good article about this a couple of days ago. I mean, look, 3, 4, 5 million for high-end starters, you know? And I think that and that's going to be Arch's range too. Now, the difference with Arch is some may come from out of NIL deals versus cap deals and all that other stuff. But Mestemaker is set to be at least a 2 million plus guy, in my opinion. Now, how much will it actually be? I don't know. As far as Caleb Hawkins, the running back, that actually is more germane to Texas, in my opinion. Hawkins, the running back, young man, I think he's out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. Is that right? Or Okmulgee? Can't remember.
Yeah.
Long story short, he is a possibility. He's mentioned Texas to folks, as well as Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I think right now Texas has its eye on 2 running backs in the portal. I don't think they're going to just try to take one now that they've had such attrition at that spot. Would he fit into that role? Yes. Or is he going to go try to be the guy somewhere else? I don't know. And I think that Texas is trying to run out all traps. This is something that I want to be clear on, that the Texas, and one of the reasons why Brandon Harris went and hired a lot of guys to work with him in the personnel department they have to run traps on just about everybody to see what's going on in the market and who they would want, et cetera. It's not just a one-person job by any stretch. And so that's a lot of what's going on right now. And $2+ million for the North Texas QB that didn't start in high school.
Yeah.
By the way.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And Vandergrift has a good program. So you can't, not faulting them at all. My point on that is that's where it's going. If you think Sam Levitt is playing anywhere for less than $3.5 million other than the NFL next year, same with Brendan Hornsby, the young man out of Lake Dallas. It's at Cincinnati. I think he's going to Tech. I mean, if you think that's going for $3 million, you're wrong. The market is higher than that.
Matt Hanley says, good morning, gentlemen. Bobby, can you share what you know about Nike and Adidas giving kids money to transfer to their schools? Big Blue sucks. 35-24. Hook 'em.
Hey, we need to get into our picks for this game. Look, Nike and Adidas are going to start being a part and playing a role in the recruitment, not of athletes to certain schools, but into athletes of their schools. So both of them have relationships. And I think that the new rules will allow Nike, say Nike give, and I'm just going to use round numbers. Say Nike's gear deal with Texas is for $10 million a year. Okay. Some of that will go towards NIL for Texas to try to figure out how they want to use that personally. That's how that's going to work. That's going to be an above the cap number at some point in time. I don't know what Texas is going to do at this point exactly with that. Tennessee, frankly, has already gone down this road pretty heavily. There's a receiver that they signed out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, named Tristan Keys, that they utilized Adidas fairly heavily on. Nike has been reticent to do this, but I think at LSU they just signed a new deal, and they signed it across the entire athletic department. But something you got to remember about Nike, they signed 10 LSU players to individual deals. Only 2 of them were football players. And I think 6 of them were male athletes, 4 of them were female athletes. And so if I've got my numbers wrong, somebody correct me, but the reality of it is only 2 of those were football players. So Nike fits a different, broader perspective because it's such a bigger brand. So is Adidas. I mean, Adidas isn't just doing football only either.
And then let's see here. We got a super chat from Justin Yarbrough. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate you as always as well. He says, Bobby, if you could fix the college football schedule, the portal, signing day, etc., how would you set it up?
Oh, that's
a loaded question.
It's a big one. I mean, don't believe it or not, I have thought about it. I think we all have at some level. I think that there's a lot of issues that come into play. I think starting the season a week earlier would be very helpful. The problem with starting the season a week earlier is a lot of people aren't on campus yet. And so like Texas, I think now typically starts last week of August, second to last week of August. So it'd be fine for Texas to have a home game, but I don't know that it would be fine at, OU. I just don't know when they start school, but I could see that first game being a neutral site or a road game, similar to a bowl game type situation where it's at, the Peach Bowl, or it replaces the Citrus Bowl, or, all these things. And then you get in by doing that, you get into conference play sooner, you get to the playoff sooner. I think that the elimination of the championship games would probably be smart, and instead have play-in games to a playoff picture that I think should be 16 teams, no buys, and one should play 16, 2 should play 15, etc. I think that there should be no automatic qualifiers from anybody, and that means not Notre Dame if you're in the top 12, and it means no power group of 5 school at all. should get, and no ACC champion should automatically get in. No SEC champion should automatically get in. It should just be the top 16 teams, 16 schools or teams. And I think that there are a number of issues like that I'd like to see. I don't have all of the issue. I don't have all of it figured out. Some people are saying, well, we need to do away with spring football and have the portal in April. I could see that, and then bring the kids back in July and have mini camps and then give them a week off and then really get after it again. I could see that. My point on all of this is the biggest issue is you have to start with the core. And while scheduling is an issue, and I think the playoffs is an issue, the biggest issue confronting college football today is its relationship with the workforce, the players. I think there's one team, I'll give you an example. I think there's one team in the NFL that pays their head coach more than their quarterback. There's one team that pays their head coach more than their quarterback. In college football, I don't know that there's a single team that doesn't pay their head coach more than the quarterback. So I guess what I'm saying here is the relationship with the workforce, the football players, needs to be brought into some kind of, and it doesn't have to be turned upside down. Like, I'm not saying that the quarterback needs to make $10 million a year at Texas. It just needs to be brought to a level where people understand it and they can collectively bargain, or I don't even know what the right word is for it. Maybe give a element of this is a true figure. Like right now, the idea that Texas, and I've said this multiple times, will do $330 million in revenue for its sports programs through its sports programs in 2024. I think that was the number, 330 million, and they're giving 20 million of it to rev share, or even with scholarships, and you add that in, 30 million in scholarships or in rev share total. Okay, well, that's only 10%. The NFL is 50%. So can you imagine Texas spending $165 million on its roster in football? Well, I mean, I don't know what football only makes versus, but my point being, there needs to be a figure that fits Texas. And what's happened is the teams that average 100 million, say Rutgers or Wake Forest or even Old Dominion, who's not in a major conference, they're saying, well, we can't meet that rev share, so y'all got to make the rev share lower. Well, that's not necessarily fair to the Texases and Ohio States of the world who've built this brand equity to create better value in their teams, and yet they're supposed to be hampered by these parameters. And so that's why you see those teams finding ways to go outside the cap.
What do you I put it up there and I should have started. I kind of agree with this, and I saw someone, I can't remember who posted this yesterday, about reinstating sitting out for one season after transferring. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, that could be negotiated in a players union or an actors guild is probably the best. Like, I don't necessarily think that players need to be or want to be employees. I do think they want some level of collective bargaining. Maybe it's more similar to an actors guild that they have. And then you could enforce rules like that, where you have to sit out a year if you transfer. But until you have both sides agreeing to something, you can't just authoritatively say this is the way it's going to be, because what we're seeing now is those players like Diego Pavia will go get lawyers and sue to get additional eligibility. If you make rules that are unenforceable because you don't have an antitrust exemption, you will get struck down. And I think that, we need to come to some sort of decision on what college football really wants to look like. And I even think this. I think college football should be separated from college basketball, and then we go from there. College basketball is another issue right now. They're dealing with these players from the G League that have been drafted in the NBA are now signing with teams at mid-year. That could all be settled with some level of and collective bargaining, unionization, or something of that ilk. Because then you can actually make rules and enforce them. Right now, they can't enforce whether or not you can play 4 years or 20. It's unbelievable. Whether you've been drafted and played 5 years in the NBA or 4 years, it used to be JUCO counted as 2 years of college. It should. I mean, you're in college, but no. I mean, Diego Pavia is gonna,
Yeah, and I can just take it to court every year to get another year.
Yeah, that's what's happening, and that's what that. And so your point about the portal is the problem. Okay, but the way to address it is through the players, not through universal declarations.
No. Because
universal declarations, you don't have the right to make those if you're making them on people that it affects, because they'll go to court and try to poke holes in those laws.
And on a related note, Rocky P says, and Rocky P, thank you. You talk about how crazy the portal will be Friday. I hope it's apocalyptic. It's what's needed to make major changes to this crap show.
Yeah, look, I think that it's going to be, like I said, I think it's going to be as big as it's been. The list of quarterbacks, and I'm not talking about just for Texas now. I mean, talking nationwide. The list of quarterbacks in the portal right now already. I mean, what are there? 8, 9 guys that are going to get paid $2 million plus at least. Yeah. I mean, it is a frothy market already. And I think that we'll see what it all looks like. For Texas, I don't know that it's going to be quote unquote crazy. I feel like Texas actually has a pretty good understanding of what they need to do and what they want to do and how they want to go about it. It may look crazy on the surface, but I think there's a pretty good. I've got some confidence, I guess, is the best way to put that. Maybe more than some folks.
All right, Bobby, we're going to get to some more questions in just a moment. But first, I need you to tell everyone today about one of your favorites. That's Vaughn Lane.
Oh, I could do that. Love me some Vaughn Lane. I've taken these guys over the years, or at least this year I started taking them, and I really enjoy it. Look, if you're going to Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Fort Worth, wherever you might be going, and you want to get on and get there easily without any kind of problems, make sure you use Vaughn Lane. They will get you there. They have first-class seats. You can lean back in them, get ready, do anything you want. Really, they are rolling out also these days Starlink internet access across the fleet, making complimentary Wi-Fi even faster and more reliable than it already was. Perfect for staying connected on the way to your meetings or conferences. They serve Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, and Knoxville. And if you're ever traveling with a team to a conference or want to meet somewhere else, you can actually charter your own Vaughn Lane, designing the trip from pickup to drop-off. Yep, they do that as well. Visit vaughnlane.com, and if it's your first time riding, enter code OTF26. We've got a new code for the new year, OTF26, at checkout to receive $20 off your first trip. Vaughn Lane, your private jet on wheels.
And how about Duck Camp, Bobby?
I love me some Duck Camp. Look, Duck Camp has a special for you guys right now. Use code on Texas 25. That's on Texas 25 for 25% off of your Duck Camp gear. Duck Camp gear is made for the people who love being out there, whether that's in the woods, on a boat, fishing, or just wearing everyday gear like I do here. I'm wearing one of their hoodies right now, actually. Born in Austin, they build best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel that works just as well for a full day in the field as it does a long day of tailgating. Shop Duck Camp at duckcamp.com. Use code ONTexas25 for 25% off. I got to say this. Quinn Ewers the other day was in his post-game press conference. Blake, I don't know if you saw this or not. He was wearing one of the Duck Camp hats as well. I thought it was really cool. It's good to see Quinn Ewers out there sporting a Duck Camp hat.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you remember? Did you see that or no, Blake?
No, I didn't see that. I'm gonna have to go back.
Yeah, right after the game where he had the 2 touchdowns.
You know
he
what?
was wearing the Duck Camp hat. Yeah,
I think I do remember that now.
You show that.
I'm gonna have to find that picture, but I think I do remember seeing that now. Actually, now that you mentioned that,
yeah, it's cool.
That is cool. Well, something else that's very cool is Hayes City Store. There are very few restaurants that once you go to, you immediately know they are just special. And Hayes City Store is one of those places. It's scratch-made Texas comfort food. They got their famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts. All of it absolutely delicious. All of it from scratch. There's also live music 6 nights a week with 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. There are 13 TVs alone in their ice house, which is perfect for game days. They even have brunch served 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Sunday. Hayes City Store is also dog-friendly, and they have a tree net for kids. Join the folks out at Hayes City Store and bring your whole crew. For more information, check out the website, hayescitystortx.com. Hayes City Store, it's uniquely Texas. Krista and I have been there before, and we both really liked it. Great food, great atmosphere. Very cool place. Oh, let's see. We got more super chats this morning. And one thing before we get to those super chats, Bobby, I know you're in Florida and you've been busy with the practices and everything, but I think this is worth mentioning. Bijan Robinson went off last night. 22 carries, 5 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 229 scrimmage yards. He also now has the longest rushing touchdown in Falcons history.
Yeah, I mean, Raheem Morris got on the mic last night and called him the best player in football. Yeah, 93-yard touchdown run. That may not have even been his best run of the day, though. I mean, he made a guy. I mean, he shook Jared Verse like it was no big deal. Made a couple guys miss. I mean, he's playing at a different level right now, and he is. You know, a lot of people look. I grew up in an era of Earl Campbell. Okay. To me, there will never be a more dominant player than Earl Campbell was when he was playing. I mean, NFL MVP his first year out of college, right? Or second year. I can't remember. Long story short, he was just so dominant because he could move the pile. And, you know, he's just so durable and all this other stuff. This new age of football, Bijan is the best at what he does right now. And it's indicative of how football has changed. The forward pass has developed right into a different thing than it was way back then. But great Longhorn doing great things in the NFL right now, no doubt. Had a tremendous game last night.
And another thing that he said last night,
I gotta say, wait. I gotta say that. But all of that saying, but the catch that Puka Nacua almost made on the sideline at the end of that game. I don't know if y'all saw that or not. That had a chance to be one of the freakiest, best catches I've ever seen. Now, it got ruled incomplete, but it literally had a chance to be one of the freakiest, best catches I've ever seen.
I wish we could show clips.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if you missed it, he tried to make a left-handed catch going away from his body out of bounds. And I don't know how to tell you all this, but I literally jumped. I was in, you know, you're sitting up in bed watching a game at a hotel. That's what I was doing. And he made that. And I probably levitated 2 inches off the ground when he made. I was like, whoa, that was crazy.
Yeah, y'all can go on Twitter and search for Falcons. Just type in Falcons highlights, and I think most of the great clips from that game are up on there from both sides. But he's also now has the record for most career scrimmage yards before turning 24. It's now Bijan and then Christian McCaffrey and then Barry Sanders at number 3. So not too shabby for old Bijan Robinson.
Bijan's a lot. I mean, there's some Christian McCaffrey in his game because he's that multifaceted running back. I think he's got better moves than McCaffrey, but there's definitely that multifaceted aspect of Bijan.
No. A lot of people commenting about him being really good and the team not so much. So, okay, let's get back to some more super chats this morning. Derek, thank you for your super chat. So Derek says he's concerned that Sark is handling agent/money calls. Why isn't Harris the front person? Not good for culture if the head coach is the front man, he says.
It is all hands on deck, and ultimately this is Steve Sarkisian's team. He's going to take some of the bigger calls. He is. I mean, it's just the way of the world. He'll take some calls that aren't very big, that he has, oversight of. This is not the NFL. The college football is not the NFL, where we have separate this department or that department. Look, Texas has a head coach now. Brandon Harris is the GM and lines things up, but he's not the only guy out there. And Steve Sarkisian, like Jerry said this, and I think a lot of people just don't understand it. He's the head coach. The buck stops with him, literally. Okay? He doesn't have a GM that overrules him somehow. So he's going to be involved in those discussions about key personnel. I mean, I just think he's going to be forever and always as long as he's the head coach of Texas.
Yeah.
And it's not shade on Brandon Harris or anybody else at the University of Texas. That's I think if you do it right, it's a very powerful, good thing to have that person in charge. I mean, then you know who the boss is, right? When you arrive on campus, it's not Jim Nagy at Oklahoma. You're playing for Brent Venables, right? Not for Jim Nagy. So
let's see. One great question. He says, no Lamar Houston. Jerry was the one that was setting that up and had been talking to him. So unfortunately, I don't have an update on that with Jerry not being here. But we'll get him in. We'll get him, and he may still show up. You never know.
Yep. And it's Lamar with 2 R's at the end too, by the way.
Yeah.
I learned that at a Nike camp when he was still a high school junior. He told me Lamar with 2 R's. That's been 30 years ago, 25.
Nick Pearson says college football is on the verge of being ruined, and the NCAA needs to get control before it's too late. Greed for money has taken over instead of desire to play for your favorite team.
Look, I don't think it's on the verge of being ruined. I think it's currently being distorted. Viewership numbers would tell you it's not actually on the verge of being ruined. It's never been more popular. I think that with bright management and a commitment, especially a commitment from the top 20 to 25 schools, not from the top 60 and the Power 4, the people that need to agree on this are the Texases, the Alabamas, the Floridas, the LSUs, the A&Ms, Ohio States, Michigan, Penn State, Oklahoma. Not the top 65. It's not the Power 4. The top 20 to 25 revenue generators need to get in a room and figure out who to include, who not to include. The fact that we have 132 teams in the FBS is ridiculous, and they're all under the same rev share. Okay? That would, if you were in professional baseball, that would go down to what? Single A?
Yep.
You include all the AA and triple A teams in baseball. So you think we should go all the way down to single A in college football with the same rev share? It's not true. And so I think there needs to be a meeting of the minds. And I don't think it's just the Power Four conferences in Notre Dame. I don't. I think it's 20 to 25 schools that you see. Jeff Carey does a great job of this with us, and putting up all those teams that play and get all the viewership, the fan viewership. I think if you average more than 75,000 people in the stands every day, you get a seat at the table. If you don't, maybe you don't. Now, it doesn't mean you can't be in the final 32 or 44 or whatever the number is, but there's no reason to dilute the product down to 132 teams. And that's what some people are calling for. And that's let the cream rise to the top.
No, I agree. We got some football on later today. Bobby, Mike D wants to know who you think's going to win. We got 3 games today before really getting into it tomorrow, but Coastal Carolina versus Louisiana Tech starts at 1. Illinois versus Tennessee in the Music City Bowl at 4:30. And then the Alamo Bowl tonight, Southern Cal versus TCU. Who you taking?
Well, I think that I have no clue on Coastal Carolina versus Louisiana Tech, although I like Sonny Cumbie and have known him for a while, so I'm rooting for Louisiana Tech. Illinois, Tennessee is a little bit different. Tennessee, it could be the last game with their quarterback, Joey Aguilar, who, by the way, is now trying to figure out if he can get an extra year and be, 6 years in college as well. So it goes back to our discussion point, but I don't know who's going to win that. I don't have a great feel for Illinois. I stopped watching them after they basically got eliminated from any kind of playoff contention. So I don't even know how they finished the season. Southern Cal, TCU, certainly interesting in the Alamo Bowl. Southern Cal and Lincoln Riley, they have went full bore against Notre Dame in the last 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours in the media, saying that Notre Dame said they would play them anytime, anywhere. So Southern Cal took them up on that offered to play them anytime, anywhere. And Notre Dame said, no, thanks, and immediately scheduled a game with somebody else. And Lincoln Riley crying foul on that he's been doing in the San Antonio and national media makes me chuckle personally. TCU without Josh Hoover, the quarterback, just TCU a shell of itself right now, in my opinion. So you would think Southern Cal wins this game, but they're going to lose their defensive coordinator, DeAnton Lynn, after this game to Penn State. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Some better games tomorrow for sure, but that's not a bad little slate for a Tuesday midweek.
I'm ready for it. Let's have some football.
Yeah.
I will say, do us a favor, and there will be football games on at the the party that we're going to have here in Orlando.
That's what I was about to say. Oh,
yeah,
well, if I can get that to your way. There we go.
The Illinois-Tennessee game will be on, obviously, 4 o'clock Eastern today. So if you're in Orlando and you're a Texas fan, come out. There's going to be we're going to have a live show there from Wall Street in downtown Orlando. Admission is completely free. Just come hang out, have a cocktail or two, watch some football, meet Jerry, myself, CJ Vogel will be there as well. I think some former players will be stopping by too to hang out for a little bit, and just come by and hang out, have some fun with us in downtown Orlando. That is a pedestrian-only area, by the way, so you can park and just walk on over.
Good stuff. Good stuff for sure. Okay, Bobby, we got time for a few more questions. But before we get to those questions, I'm going to let you tell everyone one more time about Texas Road.
I can do that. Rick Vavro and his team at Texas Road, good sponsors of us here at On Texas Football, and we appreciate them very, very much. They are your full-service solution for major road projects around the state. With the full support of multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, and asphalt, Texas Road provides on-site concrete through volumetric trucks for smaller volumes. They're also able to complete road building in a very high-profile environment. Anything you need, that's our Rick Vavro and his team at Texas Road. They also have a sister company called Austin Underground. Make sure you check them out if you have any major building needs for that require you to go underground to get it done. Again, that is Rick Vavro and his team at Texas Road.
I wanted to bring this up from Tom Doyle. He says, big shout out to Rob Wright and Frank Oakham, who are two of the best NFL defensive line coaches out there and lifelong Longhorns. Hook 'em and go Texans.
Yeah, Rod took that job. Will Anderson, Rod was not the defensive line coach. He was the assistant defensive line coach. And the Texans and D'Amico Ryans decided to elevate Rod Wright over the previous defensive line coach, in part because Will Anderson and Rod Wright really got along well together. And then when that happened, it opened up an assistant defensive line coach, Frank Oakham, who had been in multiple places. A lot of time with Matt Rule at Baylor, and then I think he was at Rice. He was most recently in Toledo. He became the assistant defensive line coach. So very happy for them, and no doubt about it. And look, there are multiple former Longhorns coaching right now across the NFL. Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the 49ers, among them.
Let's see. We have a question from Joey. Joey says, to Bobby, what is the reason Texas wins the game against Michigan tomorrow? What can our defense do that will hold Michigan?
I think that what is the reason Texas wins the game? So I picked Texas. Let's just go there. I picked Texas to win 20-17. I think that the Michigan defense, first of all, is better than people give it credit for, even without their two leading sack guys. Like, I think they have depth on defense. That's quality. Not unlike Texas having depth, right? I mean, Michigan's one of those programs. They've got it. I think that Texas is going to score enough to win this game. I think Arch is going to have to make plays late. I think it's going to be a nip and tuck game. As far as stopping Michigan, look, Michigan's got a new offensive coordinator. I don't think he's called plays in, correct me if I'm wrong, but I looked it up, 5+ years was the last time. I mean, so he's going to be calling run left and run right. So if Johnny Nansen can't dial up a defense to stop that, then all bets are off. I'm not going to change that, but I do think he'll be able to do it. I think they'll run some 3- and 4-man fronts and commit more guys to the line of scrimmage. And then Bryce Underwood, the Michigan quarterback, is going to have to beat Texas with his arm. And I don't know that he's ready to do that yet. Maybe he is, but he's a young guy. He's got a new coordinator working with him right now in his first bowl game. I picked Texas 20-17. Texas has to stop the run. If they do that, I think they'll be able to score enough points.
And staying on the game for just a moment, Number Boy wants to know, who do you think the starting running back tomorrow will be?
It's definitely Christian Clark. I say definitely. I mean, they could put Ryan Niblett out there in some kind of boutique formation to start. But Christian Clark's been running first team all week long in practice leading up to this, ever since Trey Wisner opted out on December 26th or went to portal.
And King Me, how much playing time do you expect Lacey to get? Sark, Kyle Flood, I guess, addressed this earlier in the week, and then Sark had quite a few good things to say about Lacey. I wanted to get that clip for the show today, just didn't have time. But do you see Lacey getting on the field at all, Bobby?
Yeah, I mean, so we'll have that full press conference here on Texas Football. I don't see Lacey getting on the field unless it's a blowout one way or the other. Look, Sark addressed this. We're here to win the football game. This isn't, let's get KJ Lacey some snaps, the third series of the game, regardless of what the score is. I mean, this isn't, we're not playing tiddlywinks. This is a real game. They want to win. It's not an exhibition.
All right, and we'll do one more. Let's do this one from Mike D. I think I actually asked Marcus this yesterday, but I'm going to ask you now. What players are you excited to watch in the bowl game, and who do you want to see play tomorrow?
All right, so I'm excited to watch the whole team. I just love watching Texas in general, so it's hard to pick out a couple. One of them, however, is Michael Terry, the running back. He's playing running back now. I want to see him get a few carries just to see what kind of body lean he has. He's a bigger guy. I want to see what kind of body lean he has. I want to see James Simon for the same reason. Just get a feel for who he is as a running back. On the defensive side, I think after watching practice yesterday, I'd say Brad Spence at linebacker. Those are the players that I'm kind of in my mind's eye, kind of wondering, like, is Brad Spence truly an answer at linebacker? Or is he going to be a role player? I mean, I don't know. Same can be said for both Terry and Simon at running back.
All right. A lot of people weighing in on that as well. Ike says he thinks Terry's going to have a good day.
I hope so. Let's go for it.
All right, well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by Texas Road. I want to thank them, along with Prize Picks, Hay City Sorp, South Point Dodge, Advanced Pain Care, Vaughn Lane, and Duck Camp for sponsoring today's show. And, Bobby, we know we got the party later today, 4 o'clock Eastern, but what about on the YouTube channel? What do you have for everyone?
Well, Jerry's got the recruiting breakdown today. The reason Jerry's not with us, if you just now joined us or joined us a little late, he's actually at the Under Armour check-in. Blake, could you put that list of players up again?
I can do that right
that
now.
are there this weekend that Jerry's going to be talking to. Texas commitments or signees: Richard Wesley, Nicholas Robertson, Mikey Bukakis, as well as a 2027 commit to wide receiver Easton Royal out of New Orleans, and then several targets for the Longhorns as well will be there. So Jerry, CJ are out there actually at the Under Armour area right now on, I think it's at ESPN's Wild World of Sports over there. They are out there right now, and they'll have some interviews as well as what they're hearing behind the scenes at check-in.
Okay. And before we get out of here, I need to wish one of our viewers and longtime supporters, Jason Washington, today is his anniversary. So he told me 21 years with him and his wife. So congratulations.
Is he going to be in Orlando? Are they going to be?
I believe so. So see if he can't stop by the OTF party later today.
There we go. Bring some family.
That's right. Oh, man. Well, we hope you all have an outstanding day today. Of course, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.